Like burnout happens when you realize you're working on someone else's project.
Yeah.
This is their baby. They're on the bus. This is their baby. They take pride in their job. My job is to stay out of their way.
You are listening to the Go Earn Your Salt podcast, brought to you by Salt Electrolytes. On this podcast, your host, Riley Rogers, that's me, explores the stories of people who get after it, get things done, and earn their salt. You will hear from high achievers who discuss what makes them tick, how they got to where they are today, and where they are headed tomorrow. Perhaps this podcast will help you go earn your salt. Okay, my friends, this is, kind of a long-term business colleague of mine, Mark Maxfield. Mark is the owner and CEO of the Cottages Assisted Living, and he's also got these other cool things in common with me, as we're not just both business owners, but we're also jiu-jitsu guys and just athletes for life. So, Mark, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks. Good to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, so talk to us about life, man, about what things looked like with you as a kid, because I wanna progress from, I don't want to start where we are today. I want to what formed Mark Maxfield into the businessman and the athlete and the go-getter that you are today.
Boy, that's a deep question. That's taking me way back, isn't it? Well, I was born right here in Boise. I'm 56 years old. I was born in 1969 in Boise, Idaho. Of course, Idaho was a lot different back then. Live in different parts of the state. Oldest of 7 kids. So I kind of have whatever forming that does to a person. I was a big brother of 5 girls and 1 boy. Thank goodness I was the oldest because every one of my sisters are killers. And so I was at least able to take care of myself. So my poor brother is sandwiched in the middle there. A good childhood. Mother and father, dad worked, mom stayed in the home, taught us piano lessons, made homemade bread, just a typical, whatever that means, typical rural American upbringing. I have no complaints. Good, strong religious background. Um, yeah.
Did you grow up in Boise?
Uh, no, grew up until the 6th grade in eastern Idaho. In 1976, actually, when the Teton Dam broke, it took our house
Oh, really?
and flooded. Yeah, it was. I remember that day, Saturday,
Bet.
1976, and took our house. We were camping on the hill to get away from it and watch the water come in and take the house. I mention that just because one of the real poignant memories of my life. I'd have been 7. You don't remember a lot of things from 7. I remember that. Kind of stayed in the new house for a while and until eventually moved to the Boise area in Meridian. And I've been in
Wow.
Meridian until I graduated high school. And then I went to other places, but eventually moved my family back to Idaho when we started the company, the Cottages.
So, to that Teton Dam story, my uncle was on a motorcycle coming down that road the day that broke.
Oh,
And they were following him down. He didn't know it until later, but he found out just basically by looking at the times he was there in the clock, but they were following him down, evacuating everybody. And yeah, he had missed that narrowly, right?
yeah. That was a big deal at the time.
Yeah.
It displaced a lot of people, ruined a lot of farmland.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's scary. That's scary. Well, I'm glad you guys got evacuated. Didn't have to. Did you have any? I don't remember. That was the year I was born. But was there any lives lost in that?
Great question. Um, I want to say there was because it was on a Saturday. And the only reason we made it out because it was a rare day that my dad went to work at the office, listened to the radio, heard about it. He comes screeching in the driveway. We're outside playing. We threw everything in the truck and left immediately. If we'd been home, we'd have been outside working or playing. We may not have heard the
Hmm.
warning as early as we did. Um, I don't know. That's a good question. I might have to go back and research that, but I want to say that there were some lost just because on a Saturday, so people weren't as tuned in and connected to, um, you know, what was going on in the news at that time.
Yeah, yeah, man. That's a freaky thing. So, So okay, so you go from Eastern Idaho over to the Boise area, and you how long after the dam broke was that?
Uh, see, when I was 11, so four, about 4 years.
Okay. And did you get into the kind of the business aspect of it? Was that something that as a child were you pretty attracted to business ownership and entrepreneurship?
Honestly, no. I was a normal kid. Grew up, I worked on a dairy, bucking hay. I liked muscle cars. I was heavily into Boy Scouts, shooting my 22. Just your I don't average, typical rural redneck life. I was happy. Didn't really think much about business ownership until later when I had the opportunity, which we'll probably get into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I work up, grew up working on a dairy, you know,
Dang man,
which
dairy farmers are always tough. I remember I had a buddy who's the strongest handshake I ever felt was a dairy farmer, and I thought, holy crap, man.
they handle a lot of hay bales, and I've probably thrown a million hay bales in my life, which has helped my own physical development. As an adult, I get teased in jiu-jitsu actually. Gosh, they're strong, farm strong. Farm strong is a different kind of strong than weight strong, so I'm told.
Well, that and you can't tell it on camera, but you're a pretty big guy. How tall are you?
6'3" and 6'3", 250 pounds.
Yeah, yeah, and we're gonna talk about it a little bit more as it goes on. But you were a bodybuilder for a while, so between farm
Yep.
strength and weightlifting strength, yeah, you're got to be a handful on the mats for sure.
I always have to have something going on, some sort of challenge physically, mentally, of course, and professionally. But you know, whether I was bodybuilding, there's a period of time when I played football as an adult, semi-pro football, and then some bodybuilding, and
Talk
then
about this
now
the football, man, because I never knew about that. We've that's new to me.
yeah, I would think I was in my early 40s, and I'm starting to feel age kind of creep in. I'm like, dang it, what am I gonna do? I heard about this team. I said, I'm just gonna go do it, and I went and had fun. Got knocked around a little bit, but again, I'm a large guy, still physically active, and it was just an opportunity to kind of relive some things from the youth and just do something you wouldn't ordinarily do
Yeah,
in my early 40s.
that's pretty cool, man. And now let's back up again because you went from the college years, and I think that's when you were down in Utah and trained with Pedro Sauer. Is that correct?
Yeah, so back up real quick. After high school, I did some college. I served a 2-year mission for my church.
Mm-hmm.
Came back, uh, got married to my wife, and at that time I was working for the state of Idaho, um, a penitentiary, and I worked there, and then I applied for the SWAT team, and I made the SWAT team. So we would handle cell extractions, escapes or parolee violations. We'd go kick in their trailer door and drag guys out of there. And when you're in your mid 20s, that sounds like a lot of fun. Got a lot of good training, did some SWAT competitions across the country, and had a lot of fun. After a while, the wife gets tired of the cuts and bruises and whose blood is this on your uniform that I'm washing out? I don't know whose it is, and bless her heart, she talked me into doing something else. So that's when we moved down to Utah as a social worker. Ran group homes for delinquent boys, and then placed them in different proctor homes, like foster care homes, until they graduated the system. Either went to adult system for they didn't get their stuff together, or turned their life around, which was the plan, and then went back to society. I did that for about 9 years.
Oh man, that's that's pretty wild. Again, that's something I didn't know about you either. Um, so 9 years of that, and then what originally took you the jujitsu route?
UFC one. You hear about this Ultimate Fighting Championship. Of course, me and my buddies like, oh yeah, we're all into that. You had to pay for the what was it, pay-per-view
Yeah.
back then. We all get to someone's house, and they had to line up the fighters. And Hoist Gracie, who we know won the fight, he was the least likely. You look at this guy, smaller, a little Brazilian guy, as compared to the other jacked up dudes. You know, we all picked our favorites, and when he won, we're like, "What is this stuff?
Yeah.
What is this magic? This jujitsu?" And there's no Google. Was it 93, 94? When was
93,
that?
yeah.
93. So we go to the yellow pages, right? And look for, oh, jujitsu right here. What do you know? There's a class right here in Orem, Utah. And so we go in there, you know, what are we, mid to late 20s, still think we're all that, right? And meet this little Brazilian guy with the name of Pedro Sauer. Didn't mean anything to us. One of the, I think one of the earlier black belts to come to America, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
from
He
Brazil.
was early. Yeah, I don't know what order he came in, but
Yeah, and I don't know how he ended up in Orem, Utah, of all places, but there he was. And so we go in there. We want to see what this is about. And he says, you come on in," you know, in that real Brazilian accent we like. He put one arm in his belt. His one arm strapped in his belt, and then he cleaned up on every one of us in succession. And that's when I knew, okay, this stuff is special. This guy, was he weighing 145, maybe 150 pounds?
yeah.
I don't know, somewhere around there. And we're all over 200, ex football players, wrestlers. I was ex SWAT. I'd received some training. We thought we were BA, and maybe by the standards of the time we were, which, as you know, means nothing to an accomplished Brazilian Jiu Jitsu
That's right.
artist. He cleaned us up. I got out my checkbook on the spot and signed up.
How long did you train with him directly?
A couple of years. Um, he talked me into signing up for the Utah um, Jiu Jitsu tournament at the time. I won the white belt heavyweight championship, and he gave me my blue belt on the spot, right on the podium.
Oh wow.
And back then, when you get a belt, they'd take him, he'd flip you over his shoulder,
Oh, he
one
would throw
down.
you, huh?
Uh huh. That was how he gave belts back then. Threw me, wrapped the blue belt around my waist, and of course I was very proud. Really cool moment. And then I don't know why I did the typical blue belt thing. I let life get in the way. I was still finishing college. I had a child. I was trying to build my career, and I just kind of, for some reason, stopped going until fast forward 25 years later. I signed up again here in Boise, Idaho. But that's so I got my blue belt from Pedro Sauer, you know, very famous, accomplished jiu-jitsu fellow, and at the time I didn't realize what a big deal he was. But I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud to say that I got my blue belt from Pedro Sauer,
Well, that was going
and
to
it
be my
really,
next question
yeah,
was did you realize
yeah,
at the time what you had in front of you?
no, we hadn't really heard of the Gracies except for Hoist Gracie winning. We didn't know that he was a younger brother of other Gracies who were, I think, better and bigger and probably better fighters than he was at the time. They picked the younger brother to go represent their art, and didn't know that meant anything to us because all we knew was Pedro at the time, and we just knew that he was special just because we
Yeah,
knew him personally.
man. Yeah, what a cool opportunity. You know I'm a brown belt under Pedro, but I haven't got a chance to train directly with him. I trained under Keith Owen before he
Yeah,
passed
may he rest
away.
in peace.
Yeah, man, but yeah, Pedro is he's kind of my jujitsu grandpa. Oh.
That's right. Yeah, and since I've come to Boise, I found another very accomplished lineage as well.
Yeah, talk about that.
Well, I suspect we'll talk. You want to do that now?
Yeah.
So fast forward 25 years, I'm leaving work one day and I look over at a little industrial park and I see a sign, Alliance Jiu Jitsu. I think, oh, and I thought back to my times, how much fun I had. Always thought about Jiu Jitsu through the years. One of these days, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I drive by, I see that sign. I'm like, Mark, it's time. It's time. Pulled in, met Alexandre Pave, known as Gigi. Again, didn't know who he was, didn't know how special his lineage is. Um, you know, he's a black belt under Jacare, who was under Hulse Gracie, one of the few, one of eight.
Yeah.
And, and Gigi is a well accomplished black belt champion. He's a coral belt now. Signed up, liked him, signed up, and started my jiu-jitsu journey again. I remember first day of class, I'm sitting there holding my white belt, I'm holding my blue belt, thinking I don't deserve to wear this blue belt. Been 25 years, and I'm looking at it, and he sees me. No, Mark, you earned the blue belt in Pedro. You got to wear it. I said I probably don't have the skill set. It didn't matter. I came back quickly. I
Sure.
learned quicker and a lot more things, even though I've been gone that long. A lot of the techniques stick with you, and they will for the rest of your life.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting to stay totally sharp. You've got to train all the time, but you can have a pretty high level of skill even with big gaps in training, right?
You never forget guard retention. You never forget how to do an arm bar. You never forget a cross collar choke. Your technique may need some refinement, but those are skills that you've learned that the general public just don't have.
Yeah. Yeah, man. You talk about collar chokes. Do you get much in the weeds on the jiu-jitsu debate on gi or no gi?
Primarily train gi, but one day a week we train no gi, and I enjoy it because it makes me. It's just different. Yeah, grips are gone. You have to learn more arm drags, learn how to take the back more, um, deep half guard. It's just a lot of. It's just different, and I like it.
So on this stint, um, since you started training again, how long has that been since you jumped back into jiu-jitsu?
Oh my God, I think going on about 5 years now.
Yeah, dang man. And what belt are you now?
So I'm four stripe purple. Um, Real close to my brown. Probably would have had it by now, but he's holding me back for the World Masters um, competition this August.
Sandbagging it, huh?
You know, every advantage I can get.
No, that's pretty cool. So tell me about that, man. When you said that's happening when?
End of August, the World it's Masters,
Uh-huh.
so 40 and above World competition in Las Vegas,
Shoot.
and I've signed up. I've signed up for my class and age and weight, and I'm gonna go give it my best and have fun. Gigi asked me to go, and I said absolutely.
Oh, that'll be exciting, man. I'll have to get exact dates from that from you later because I wouldn't mind trying to make it down there and watch that in person. That'd be cool.
Absolutely.
I think that's exciting, man. Well, so let's pivot a little bit from jujitsu and let's talk about. I think we mentioned early in the podcast that you had a stint with bodybuilding also. What made that happen? What was the motivation?
Again, it's meeting mentors and people who have done bigger and better things than me in that particular sport. I've always been a lifelong lifter. Just go to the gym, the standard power three moves, bench, squat, deadlift, and I go primarily. And then I met a guy, Craig Toth, a very accomplished bodybuilder who's since passed. He kind of said, "Hey, let me show you some things." So I signed up and let him be my trainer. And at some point, he's like, "Hey, why don't you train for a competition?" You know, and I'm like, "What the heck?" I don't know. My wife wonders what's wrong with me, but I'm always training or preparing for something big, whether it's a competition or an event, and it kind of keeps me sharp. Of course, it gets the nerves a little bit. Anytime you're preparing for competitions, there's some nerves. Um, a lot of people interpret that as fear. I interpret it as excitement. It's the same hormone. The
Hmm.
hormone for fear is the same hormone for excitement. It's just how you perceive it, your perception. So those kind of things always get me kind of excited. And he wrote me out a plan. Most of it is the eating part because you got to get lean, and of course the lifting. And so I did several competitions and through my mid to late 40s, with pretty good success. Had a third place, couple of second place. Never took the top podium. which is fine. I got in the best shape of my life. At least at least how you look on the bodybuilding podium. And
Yeah. No, there for a while, man, you were looking pretty monstrous. And I only saw you a couple times during that phase, but yeah, it was pretty impressive.
yeah, I'm smaller now. I don't do the heavy lift. I still lift, but now my goal is jujitsu shape, which means more flexible, a little more agile, a little quicker. I'm still 250 pounds, muscular, but I'm leaner than I used to be when I was into heavy powerlifting, and just trying to stay healthy now at 56. It's not about how much you can squat. I don't care anymore, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't even squat anymore. I do different things.
So what weight did you get up to when you were in the peak of your bodybuilding?
At my biggest, my largest, I was 295 pounds, and then I would cut way down to lean, like well, about the same weight I am now, about 245.
Oh, really?
But I had a lot more muscle and just kind of shred the fat. So now I'm just kind of a normal 250.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd ever call you normal, man.
I've never been accused of being normal, that's for sure. But
Yeah. Well, so these goals, so you jiu-jitsu goals, it's one of those things for folks that don't know the journey to a jiu-jitsu black belt, it's somewhere between 10 and 15 years typically. So it's a long-term goal. Um,
difficult.
Bodybuilding is something that that can be a lifelong pursuit also. How long did you do that for?
Well, I've been a lifelong lifter just for just for aesthetics. I wanted to be big. I've always been big and muscular. As far as actual training with a purpose, training with a date or an event in mind, I did that for probably on and off for 8 to 10 years through my 40s.
Yeah.
And then when I hit 50, that's when I kind of I'm gonna shift focus to again be able to move better. It was always hurt. Your shoulder hurts when you're benching 400 pounds all the time. When you're squatting 500 pounds and deadlifting 600 pounds, everything hurts.
Yeah.
And but you like that's what you push through to do it anyway. I feel better now, and I lift more smart and with different focus.
Do you find that in your peer group of guys your age who aren't athletes, they walk around hurting all the time too, don't they?
Choose your hurt from being lazy, laying in your chair, and drinking your sodas, right? And you're overweight, or the type of hurt you get from a little fatigue, or maybe hurting an elbow in jujitsu, or that kind of thing. Which one do you want? I prefer the healthy one where I'm healing up some bruises from training hard in jujitsu.
That's right. Yeah, I think about that a lot. Where guys in my peer group, I'm 48 this year, and yeah, I've got friends that are down with knee issues and back problems and all these things, and yet they're not athletic. So I'm like, well, if I'm gonna hurt anyways, I might as well have fun doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's, talk to me about these goals. I have a bit of a different question regarding goals and that sort of a thing. But one of the reasons I picked jujitsu as a hobby was because it would take so long. So I'll give you a little background on that. Prior to jujitsu, I was in the endurance, running, triathlon, those kind of sports. And I
Oh,
would find that I would set a date, train like crazy for that event. I'd do the event, and then the next day there was just this crash, like a letdown.
no.
Um, did you experience that with any of the stuff you've done?
Jiu-jitsu, no. The bodybuilding, yes, because you're so strict, so disciplined. You go to the event and you put on your tan, and you really look the best you've ever looked. Get up there, do your best, take your ribbon, whatever it is, and then the next day you're like, okay, boy, I can't wait to get a milkshake or a cinnamon roll, or something that you've just put off for a year. And then you do, and then you have that moment of reality. Okay, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go back to a normal physique, whatever that means, or am I gonna continue this? So I chose to kind of continue it. And you have a little bit of a period where you get back to normalization because when you get that lean, it's not sustainable, right?
Sure. Yeah, you're hitting a peak, right? You're
You try to peak it, it's perfect. And so I would have to take a couple weeks, kind of normalize, and then my trainer's like, okay, now what? What do you want to do? Let's put some size back on. Let's change your workout routine. We start lifting heavier again. Maybe pick another competition out a year or whatever. And I did that for during that time period until I decided just no more competitions, just kind of get some normalization. And then not long after that is when I found jujitsu. And the nice thing about jujitsu is, you're right, it is at least a minimum 10-year process. And my goal right now is to get my black belt before I'm 60. That's all I think about. Not everything I think about, but it's really forefront in my physical goals. And there's no peaks and valleys, just a long, slow climb up the hill. You have ups and downs where maybe you take some time off for vacations, but really it's progression several times a week, whatever your routine is. You're constantly getting better, and some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail. You know well as I do.
oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's the ups and downs. I asked, do you know who Brandon McCatherine is?
I don't recall that name though.
He's the founder of the PGF grappling series. He's a third degree black belt under Eddie Bravo. He's a 10th Planet guy. I was talking to him one day about that letdown because you mentioned wanting to get your black belt by the time you turn 60. My goal is to get mine by the time I turn 50, and I was supposed to test for my black belt back in April, but I ended up getting pneumonia in January, and I'm still not 100% after that. It was a pretty rough sickness, and so I haven't been able to do that. I'll be 49 this December, so I'm feeling that pressure, that coming up, going, man, I'd like to get that done. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't. But that being said, as I was talking to Brandon, I was asking him about that letdown once you hit your black belt, and he said he went through about a year and a half of almost a depression after that because he was striving for that goal so hard for so long. It's a decade or 12 years, I think he said it took him. And crap, man, I started wondering that. I'm like, man, will I have that letdown? And after that,
Being able to complete the climb to mastery requires the proper nutrition. This is why it's important to take in a potent blend of electrolytes that is in tune with your output and brings strength to your goals. This potent blend is only found in salt electrolytes. Salt targets your depleted electrolyte levels with a boost of hydration and health. It gives your body the baseline recovery it needs.
That's a great point. I think about that sometimes. Probably my biggest regret is I didn't stick with jiu-jitsu in that time off. I'd be a multi-stripe black belt by now. And now, if I get my black belt at 60, and it doesn't matter where you go as long as you continue to train, I'll never be a coral belt unless I
yeah,
keep training to my 90s. And who does that?
yeah,
So I have to be okay with black belt and then figure out my journey after that. At some point you start wrestling, you start training with those 20 somethings and 30 somethings, black belt or not. You need to be careful that you don't hurt yourself, and just kind of I'll need to find my status quo, what that looks like as a black belt as a man in my 60s, and just kind of find, I don't know. I've thought about that. Not worried about it, but I know it's something I'll need to come to terms with and reconcile what that looks like going forward.
yeah. I
I'll
think
always have a key.
that's an interesting thing, man. When you're discussing what that looks like to be strap on a black belt, but then realize that you're getting on it, especially in jiu-jitsu years, right? And what that role looks like, because the knowledge we have in our head is super high level at that point. But crap, man, you got these young guys with the physical athletic abilities that can still give you trouble on the mat. And, there is a
and they're gunning for you.
reconciliation. Yeah.
And they're gunning for you. They see a guy still reasonably fit with a black belt. They would love nothing more than to, get, even if they just get you mounted or get a sweep on you. And so it involves losing your ego
Yeah.
and being okay with your own capabilities at the time.
That's
I'm
right.
not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm still able to hang because of my farm strength and my old man strength that they tell me,
There you go. Just
and
reach up and
technique
just break
and
him in
technique.
half, right?
Yeah, just
No. I funny story. I had a guy drop into our school here. It's probably been 6 months ago, 8 months ago, but he was a 4-stripe purple belt. Big guy, not quite as tall as you, but and not as thick as you are. Not quite that, but he's just an athlete. 6'1", strong young guy in his 20s, and for whatever
they're a
reason, as a
handful.
drop in, he decided he wanted to take on the instructor that night, who happened to be me.
Yeah.
And man, this kid just went ham, and I'm sitting here trying to keep my ego down, just like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to keep up with this dude athletically, so I'm gonna have to technique him. And I finally waited my turn, and I was pulled guard and playing the bottom position. I finally swept him, and as I'm climbing up mountain, I'm getting him into a bad position. I keep seeing these arms exposed, but I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to take one of those arms quite yet, because I'm going to end up on the dang bottom again. And so I just made him suffer up right until the clock, and I pulled that arm bar right at the last 5 seconds just to. So if we did reset, I didn't have to be on bottom.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say maybe you got the Americana on them because that's one people that beginners don't see coming.
No, it was just it ended up being a pretty fun deal, and he was cool afterwards. But it was one of those, man, kind of drop in challenge matches, as close as I've ever been to that. We weren't punching each other in the face, but it was intense.
Yeah, nobody really likes those guys. If they sign up, they learn real quick though how to be cool, how to train with your partners, and just kind of
Yeah,
keep
for
things.
real.
We're not here to kill each other, and that's actually something I've had to overcome. The other way, I'm a social guy. If you go to class every day, you get to know these guys, and they're your friends.
Yeah.
And if anything, I go too soft and don't take advantage of opportunities that present itself. And I was instructed of that when I went to a camp. It was a 5-day camp in California, the Redwood Mountains of Huzzer Gracie. Of
Oh,
course, well known, 10-time world champ or some
something like that. Yeah.
very famous. He's a goat. He's considered one of the greatest of all time sport. And so I thought, here's an opportunity to go. I was training the class, and I even got to roll with him a little bit. Of course, we know the outcome of that. And he's like, Mark, you know, why are you rolling so soft? Well, I'm one of the bigger guys. I'm trying to be cool. I don't want to hurt or any of my training partners. He's all, then you don't want to do jujitsu. Like, what do you mean? I said, if you're just going to go soft and not taking advantage of things that present itself, then maybe jujitsu is not for you. I don't think he really meant that. I think he was trying to teach me a lesson, and that hit me hard. I'm like, oh, okay. Yes, it's cool to be nice and not hurt people, but jujitsu is a physical sport. It's a combative sport, and we're here to learn from each other. And I'm not doing myself a favor or my training partner a favor if I give too many gimmies.
Yeah.
So I've tried to turn up a little bit notch since then. It was powerful.
There's that balance between hurting people and, being spazzy and going too hard, but
Absolutely.
also you want to grapple in a real way, right? And so, yeah, you get a hold of somebody's collar, you're going to choke them with it, but you don't have to beat them on the ground with it. It's not like you have to rip the poor guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's pivot from jiu-jitsu and get into your business. So you're the owner,
Yeah.
CEO of the Cottages Assisted Living. And is that the actual title of the business?
It's Cottages Senior Living, and we do
Senior
assist living and memory care.
Yeah. And we've worked together in a different capacity. We actually met through my mobile oil change business and in your company trucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's been 12 years ago, probably? At least 10.
If you say so, that sounds good. It's been a while, yeah.
It's been a while. So when I started working with the cottages in the lube business, you played a different role then. Your father was CEO at the time, correct?
He was. So he and I started the company in 2001. Well, let's real quick. I was in Utah. I was a social worker. He called me one day. Hey, son, do you want to come back home to Idaho? I said, and do some assisted living with me. I said, well, that sounds pretty good. What's that? At that time, I didn't know what assisted living was. There really wasn't a lot of them. It was a thing, but no one really knew a lot about it. Well, we're going to take care of people like Grandpa. And my grandfather and I were very close. He died at 100 years of age, slipped and fell, broke his neck in a nursing home.
Oh wow.
And I always knew that he would have enjoyed something different from that. And I'm not here to bag on nursing homes. If you need to be at them, they're pretty good. But if you don't need to be in a nursing home, you don't want to be there. You don't want to be skilled nursing. He would have done well and thrived in assisted living in a small town. So I said, yeah, I'm in. Picked up my family, moved back home to Idaho, and we built our very first facility on Grandpa's land in Emmett, Idaho.
Really?
Yeah. And so since then, that has been my driving force to make a home, make a business where Grandpa would have thrived and done well. And so we did that. Dad retired in 2017, I think, bought him out. So then I became the CEO and owner. And since then, I've continued to build some. Now we have 20 homes throughout Southwest Idaho. The very first one being in Emmett, Idaho, which is where I live now. I moved my family to Emmett, Idaho to remind me of what Meridian was like in the 80s, at the time when I grew up.
Oh my goodness, man. And so you took over as CEO in 2017, you said? Yeah. What does what does that look like? Is that just what does your day-to-day look like in that role?
For years, I was heavily involved in operations in the weeds. Probably one of the best things I did as a business owner was hire a company president. I was CEO and president, which means I thought and felt I had to do it all. And I had a lot of good team members and some good people work with me that helped me. No, not one person could do it all in anything. But I knew that I needed to get out of the weeds so I can focus on the most important things to me: culture and growth. So I hired a company president. She'd been Jamie, who'd been with me for years already. Empowered her, get out of her way, and she's doing a great job, doing a better job than I did, frankly, as president, and the operator. So now I focus on growth, culture of my company. She handles the day to day, and we're both happier.
Tell me about that. So you're when you say you focus on growth and culture, what what does that look like? Help me out.
Well, culture. I'm obsessed with the culture of my company. That's the culture is, you know, what it feels like to work at a place. There's a lot of people, they quit high paying jobs because they hate going to work every day, hate their boss, hate their coworkers, don't like what they do.
Yeah.
But if you want people to stick around, they're like, man, I love this place. We work together. It feels good. My supervisor, my boss, my owner, whatever, they value me. I have employees been with me for 5, 10, 15. I have a caregiver who's been with me here 20 years. Everyone in my office, all my C-suite, have been with me at least 10 years. So when you have longevity like that, they handle their business.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about their loyalty. You don't have to worry about if they're doing the right thing. They're doing the right thing not because they're getting paid to, because they want to. Like burnout happens when you realize you're working on someone else's project.
Yeah.
This is their baby. They're on the bus. This is their baby. They take pride in their job. My job is to stay out of their way.
Okay, talk about that a little bit more because that to delegate something, most business owners, and I would say most is accurate, really struggle with that micromanaging, not staying out of their way. So, have you had any hard knock lessons that taught you that?
Yeah, good question. Fortunately, I haven't had any real costly or negative hard knock lessons. I've kind of learned that by trial and error. I'll realize, and I'm busy. I just can't do this. Would you do this for me? Absolutely. they've been ready a long time, and frankly, just been waiting for the opportunity. And then they do it, and you're like, wow, that was nice. I had time to do something else. I didn't have to worry about this and stress about it. And guess what? They took care of it. And if I was honest with myself, they did just as good or maybe even better than what I would have done. I'm like, this is pretty nice. Let's try it again and again. And now with this person, before you know it, you're sitting back working on your business instead of working in it. That's a phrase we've
Yeah.
heard. And what do you know? Your business is more profitable, it grows. And now instead of a business like this, but one like this. It's just as easy to operate a business this side as it is this side if you have good team members that love what they do and that have the power to do that. My job is to hold them accountable, but not really because they hold themselves accountable. And I can't overemphasize how important it is to have a great culture and empower your people, get out of their way.
Man, you said something there that I do not want to pass. You said they had been ready for a long time. And I think that's the key probably to this whole thing is you delegate to people who are ready, who can then, as you said, do it better than you did it. At least as well, but probably better, right? Because they're more focused.
Yeah.
They don't have all the other stuff to think about. They have that thing. Hey, business owners, I want to talk to you for a second. Do you have a retail space or a pro shop inside your business? If so, I want you to know something. Your customers are buying electrolyte supplements. The problem is they're not buying them from you. Salty Electrolytes can help with that with their wholesale program. They can bring those sales to you in-house so your customers get the electrolytes they deserve from the company they love most. All you have to do is head over to goearnyoursalt.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click on the link that says Apply for Wholesale. Or it's possible that there's a link in the description of this podcast. And now, my friends, go earn your salt.
They were hired for a specific skill set. As an owner, you have to be good at all of it,
Yeah.
which means you're okay. You're good at some of them, okay at the rest. Well, if you hire a chief marketing officer, they're really good at that. What are you gonna stick around and tell them what to do for? They're better than you. You know, you set the direction, the vision. They understand it, and let them go.
Yeah, I tell my guys all the time, my job is to provide you with the tools you need to do what you do, and then you work the magic and do that.
That's it.
Oh, man.
You
You said some beautiful things in there. That was-
I've had a well, thank you. I've had a long time, a lot of mistakes to learn how what makes beautiful music in business,
yeah.
and starting to get it figured out now, which is why we're more profitable we've ever been, growing. I'm able to focus on other avenues, other business opportunities that have been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, who do you think has influenced you the most in your life?
Yeah, good question. I learned a lot from my dad. Of course, he was always in business. He was good at that. He was good at saying, "Hey, this is what you need to go do it." I could come to him anytime, ask questions, and he'd help me without judgment. And that's important when someone comes to you. Maybe they made a mistake. You don't say, "What's wrong with you?" You know, you sit down with them. Okay, what did we learn? Not what did you do wrong. What did we learn here, and what do we do differently? So he was good at that. I've done a lot of reading. I read. I got all these books right here that I've
Yeah.
been reading and different things.
What's the most influential book you've ever read and something you'd recommend to everybody?
Gosh, how do I narrow that down? I don't want to get this too far off topic, but first would be the scriptures,
Sure.
Holy Scriptures. But as far as business book, I'm reading this one right now currently. Pardon my language,
Hold it up a little
so no
higher.
asshole.
There you go. There you go. What's that about?
You know, why are we tolerating assholes in our company? We know who they are. They're the boss. The people work for you. People just don't get along with anybody. You know, they're not happy. They're not making people around them happy. Get rid of them. But probably my number one book. Pardon me for real quick.
Nice. Who wrote that? I couldn't see the
Leadership,
author. There you
like
go.
Mike Staver. Leadership isn't for cowards. It isn't because you have to learn how to do and say the hard things and the right things. And I actually teach a class once a month on this book. I bring in all my future leaders, and they have to read this book with me, and we go through the things because I promote from within. All of my C-suite people and mid-management people started at the bottom working for me 10, 15 years ago, working nights, scrubbing toilets, whatever needed to be done. And then over time, they proved themselves and they worked their way up from there. You can hire a hot shot from outside, and I've done that sometimes. I've never had as much success as when I find someone entry level and we grow together. I help them and they grow. And this right across this wall right here is my chief operations officer. She started working nights, scrubbing toilets, giving showers, toileting elderly people, and now 14 years later, she's my COO and doing a great job.
Well, man, I hear you because you're talking about, you bring somebody in from the outside, maybe they have a great track record for some other company,
Yeah,
but they haven't learned your culture for 10 years, right? So they bring something different which changes the culture, which may not be desirable.
yeah, absolutely.
So, quick question here. The name of this podcast is the Go Earn Your Salt podcast. What comes to mind when you hear that phrase, go earn your salt?
You have to be a certain age, I think, to understand where that phrase comes from. Back in the day, or in other countries, people would work for a chunk of salt, right? Because of the value of it. So go earn your salt. I mean, go put in a full day, hard work, and you get your reward, which is salt. I can't remember if it's in another country or not, but salt had great value in some cultures. So when you go earn your salt, you go earn your due, not just your paycheck, but your respect, your skills, and there's really a lot to that. As soon as I learned that to be named your supplement, I'm like, oh, what the heck is he thinking? I thought a lot about it, and it's just a very interesting name. So I would love to hear your perspective on it. I'm sure you have your own reasons. But
Well, that was just it, man. I thought it was, partly it's kind of a cute phrase that we've all heard our whole lives, like, yeah, that guy's not worth his salt, just he's some schlub that's just not bringing any value, right? But those guys who do, man, and you'd hear the old timers especially say that, that man's worth his salt. That that just resonated with me, not just from the supplement perspective. I mean, in fact, very little from the supplement perspective, but it's like some people get after it and get things done and they attack life, and some people just kind of ride the wave and do what comes natural. And I've always been really attracted to people who are achievers that want more, that are driven by that motivation. They always have a goal in front of them. That's why I thought of you for this, because as long as I've known you, there's always been something there you're shooting for. And
thank you.
yeah, man, and that's what it is to me. What advice would you give listeners of this podcast that would help them to earn their salt?
Ah, get over yourself. Just you need to have some pride to hold yourself up and realize you're going to work hard, but lose your ego, get humble. There's people you can learn from. Watch people that are already doing it. Can't be afraid to put in work. For my generation and for my upbringing, I wasn't afraid to work. I didn't feel like I'd been mistreated. That's all there was. You just got up, you go work, you eat your little sack lunch that you brought with you, and you get back at it. We didn't know what PTO was or vacation time or sick time. That was there wasn't such a thing. You just worked hard, and I sadly those are abilities and skills that I feel are being lost today. I don't want to get too far off on kids these days,
Yeah, for sure.
but but that's a whole nother podcast. But just you can't be afraid. Get out there, go earn your salt, work hard, drop your ego, Learn from those that have been there.
Yeah.
Take your lickings. You're gonna have people are gonna say this, do that. Just all right, internalize it, think about it. Yeah, I could have done this differently, or no, I'm fine, and keep going. You'll wake up one day, 20, 30 years later, and realize you look around you. You have a nice family. You have a business. You have some things to really be proud of, and still, you keep your pride in check and you keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. We've never just arrived, right?
I I can't imagine what that looks like. Where I'll sit back and go, I'm done. All right, that's probably the day I'll die,
Yeah.
and I probably would want to die. I'm never. I always have a goal. Right now, it's my black belt, and then at 56, I'm starting to think about what retirement looks like. Does that mean sell my business? Does that mean sell to employees? Does it mean step out of this role and just sit on the board, hire a CEO? I don't know yet. That's kind of on my short list of things I want to do. I
Yeah.
always have something.
Well, it's good to start planning that stuff now. That succession plan is that can take a while to implement. So for
Yeah.
sure.
Right now, my goal is to win Masters 7 at the World Masters Jiu Jitsu competition.
Well, I'm hoping I can pull that off and get down there and see you do that, man. That'd be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can we switch gears and go with some lighter questions?
You bet.
Mostly just for fun.
All right.
Okay. Tell your favorite pastime outside of what we've talked about outside of jiu-jitsu.
Muscle cars, drag
Muscle
racing.
cars. So I have not yet got to see the Camaro. Well, you actually have two Camaros, don't you?
I have the one I drive every day. It's newer. It's a 22 Super Sport. Like you see, but I had the old one. I bought this, I think, my last year of high school. It's a 1969, which now is a pretty cool car. Back then, it was just a used car. I
Yeah.
think I paid $1,500 for it.
Oh, you've had it
So
the whole time.
I've kept it.
That's amazing. That's
I'm,
amazing,
I'm
man.
working on restoring it. Getting it brought up to modern day standards. And I have another car that I'm working on. I want to start actually racing at Firebird Raceway out here, and I've been a few times
You can't just
and
say
raced.
another car. What is it?
It's an old. When you hear it, you won't think it's cool. But I'm trying to build a gasser, the drag car that they built in the '60s,
Yeah, the high
specific for
front
drag
end and
racing.
they almost like
Yep,
lifted on the front.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. It's for weight. It's for weight transfer. People don't build them anymore. It's kind of for nostalgia. But it's a 1963 Studebaker Lark wagon.
Shoot. I test drove a Studebaker Lark. It would have been a sedan. Gosh, back in the 90s. That a cousin of mine was looking at. She kind of thought it was cool, and I told her she shouldn't buy it because it was too much maintenance for her. But
There's nothing cool about them at all. But if you can make them look and run cool.
oh, it's amazing, man. All right, so if you sit down at a restaurant with a hamburger and they put the veggies on the bottom of the patty, is that acceptable to you?
No, the foundation of any good burger, and I don't get the bun, by the way. It's a big old massive patty, light pink in the middle, and everything else goes on top. The onion, tomatoes, 2 eggs over medium well, bacon and avocado, and maybe a little lettuce wrap. But that's how it's done. And if not, I send it back.
Yeah. Send that sucker back, man. Veggies go on
Get
top.
it out.
Have you ever been in a
What a
fight?
question. I'm such a calm, easygoing guy. It's very rare. And I got all my fighting out of me in the penitentiary on the SWAT team. You know, I got to exercise any amount of aggression I wanted back then, certainly in the
Yeah.
morning. So it's very rare. And I'm a large, intimidating guy. Normally, just a look or a "not today, buddy" is all it takes. But I don't. I try not to abuse that.
It's funny because people think all the time if you're training jujitsu, you're fighting all the time. And so they ask me, I get asked this a lot. Are you ever tempted to get in a fight? And I'm like, no, not even a little bit, man. I know how deceiving people can be and how, I fight enough people where the skinniest, nerdiest looking dude could just tear you apart if he's the wrong guy.
Absolutely. Odds are you would clean up in any fight. but you know
There's those
that you
ones.
just don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. I've seen it too many times, and I think, yeah, like you said, the odds are definitely in my favor, but they're not all in my favor. So,
And I don't want to fight anybody. I will if I have to, but if I'm trying to protect myself or a family member from a really bad dude, obviously it's on. But I just can't imagine a scenario where I'd want to fight. It's not worth the parking spot. It's not worth, someone bumping in the hall. Just be like, hey, move along, buddy. It's just,
yeah,
I, I've dropped my ego now. I don't care about that anymore.
that's great, man. Scariest moment of your life?
Had a couple close calls when I was with SWAT. Some pretty bad dudes. Um, had a car wreck that was pretty bad. Um,
Tell us about that.
but I don't think about them. Just going too fast on a road that was full of water and hydroplane, and off I go. You know.
Did the car stay
But
upright?
no, no, I did a few rolls. Um, Walked away without a scratch.
Ew. But you gotta see did it slow down? Do you get that slow motion feeling as you're going over?
You do. As you're in the process, you're like, I guess this is it. I hope my family's okay. I hope I lived a good life, right? And you're like, and you're waiting for it. Oh, not yet, not yet. Come to a stop. I guess, I guess I'm okay. Thank you, Lord. Right?
Yeah, man. Well, tell me this. What's next? What's a bucket list item you have? You mentioned getting your black belt already. Do you have anything else on the horizon of things you want to achieve or do?
Yeah, they're all worldly things. Restore my old Camaro, finish my drag car, retire. Uh, I'm a grandfather now. Spend more time with my grandsons. Continue to work on relationship with my wife. Been married 33 years next month.
Oh, rock on.
And for those of you that are married, you know that it doesn't get easier. It does in some ways, but you're married to a woman, and who knows what they're about anyway, right? I didn't mean that if she's watching this, but no, it's incredible. But just she changes, we change. So always work on your marriage, relationships. Trying to grow my business. I've started a couple new businesses, trying to get them going. As soon as you run out of goals or run out of things to work on, that's when you get sick and die. I see it all
Yeah.
the time. Guy retires, he goes to the lazy boy, his Mountain Dew, and he makes it 2 years. That's not gonna be me.
Oh, that's yeah. I see that way too often. Um, okay, man. So, where can you be found? Where can the cottages be found on social media? Where are you on there too?
I have a very robust LinkedIn account that I'm on there, and then yeah, we're in Google. We have Facebook.
We'll stick links in the bio.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'd definitely like you guys to be visible on there. Well, all right, my friend. I told you now we're at 58 and a half minutes right now, and I want to respect your time. I know you're a busy dude. So yeah, it was great to speak with you, Mark.
This has been an honor and a pleasure. It's really, and you've asked some very thought-provoking questions. So it's been good. I really appreciate seeing like this, and we need to see each other face to face sometime soon. It's been a while.
Yeah, I'd love to, man. That would be great. So, Mark, go earn your salt, sir.
I'm working on it every day, so hopefully one day I'll be able to say I did.
Hey, you've just finished up this episode, and I've got to know, do you know someone who's a getting after it kind of person? Someone who is earning their salt every day? If so, I would like to have them on the show. So have them message me directly at the Go Earn Your Salt podcast on Instagram. Let's see if we can get them on the show. Have a great day. You know what to do. Go earn your salt.